Good morning, nation. You got Keith, you got Keach, and of course, you got our good friend C. Marty Fit coming in here on the show. Good morning, boys.
Good morning.
Great morning.
What's up?
Marty, we are happy to have Keach joining us here this morning.
Thanks for having me back.
No, I'm playing.
Yeah.
It actually is about time, Marty. You're absolutely
We
right.
miss you, man.
We do. And you notice, Keach, you've lost your first name. So Christopher Keach has joined us. Christopher's gone. He's now become Keach to us. So
Yeah, he's just Keach. Yeah.
because we got two Chris's here on the show. So we had to get rid of one of them. So we got Keach joining us from LA. We got Marty joining us from Maryland. Of course, you got myself joining us from Winnipeg, Canada. Coming up on the show today, James Turner joining us here in a few moments. Joining us from, I think, somewhere over the pond, boys. I think it's over there. I think
London?
it's way over there. Yeah.
London.
Oh,
Getting better at the accent,
we
man.
started with the accent already first thing this morning in the show.
That's how it's done.
And that's exactly it. And of course, we have the future joining us here this morning. There's the future joining us here this morning. Of course, joining us all the way from sunny or cloudy New Zealand, wherever the future is today. Good to see you, future. And so today on the show, we have James Turner coming up to talk about the Odie song. Gents, the Odie song. What's the Odie song? Well, we're going to talk about that in a few moments. And then we have Don't Be Scared of AI. Keach, Marty. Don't be scared of it. Monroe Melvin, AI expert, joining us for a conversation today around accepting the inevitable, but weaving AI into your life. Tips and tricks. I had a big tick on me, or my dog a couple days ago. Tips and tricks to help AI weave into your life, move life forward. And then at the end, the last segment of the show, Marty's favorite. We might have an opinion for Marty coming up today, Keach.
Oh God.
He's shuffling uncomfortably in front of the camera. Oh, he just put the camera off. We might have an opinion this morning about carb cycling.
Fitness world, man. The
It's
fitness
the fitness
world.
world. So we're going to talk carbs. We're going to talk carb cycling. This idea of eating a lot of carbohydrates, not eating a lot of carbohydrates, cycling through your diet. Nope. Some like the process, some don't like the process. We talked intermittent fasting this week and so forth. So we're going to talk carb cycling later on in the show with Marty and so forth. And I guess it is cold over there, isn't it? It's winter nights over there in the future. So the future's on its way here to North America in the coming months. But before we welcome James Turner into the lab, I want to take a quick minute, Marty. Let's catch up with Keach. James, you're up next on cue, but we're going to take a quick minute to catch up with Keach. Keach, where you been, pal? Let Nation know where you've been, what you've been up to, and how's life been for Christopher Keach since we last saw you last?
Life's great. I mean, I appreciate you having me back. I feel it's not you, it's me. But
Yeah.
yeah. But thank you for having me back on. And everything's good. Just working, grinding, trying to get 1% better. And I've been with my family. I've been trying to get new clients. I've been meeting old clients, and business is good. This election year is interesting, the business cycle of it all. I'm sure.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's been causing us, more chaos and more. I would say, let's just keep it simple. It's causing us a lot of grief because every 4 years this kind of thing happens, and since I'm a young guy, I'm not that used to the cycle yet. So this is good.
It's going to be a number of fun months here in America and over across the pond. I think
That's right.
The pond. Is that where James Turner is? Are you across the pond, James Turner?
I'm not. No. I'm sorry.
You're North America?
I'm in Fredericton, New Brunswick, on the east coast.
Oh, you're
of
in Canada with me.
I am. Yes.
Dude, I did not know that. I thought you were across the pond.
I've got some tells too, right? Like I've got my little British pillow there that
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So
Subtle
Canada represent. James Turner. That's awesome, man. Joining us. So Marty Keach, almost from the future. He's halfway from us to Enzo there. So. and he's
I don't know about halfway.
He's past you, Marty. I think he's
past me, but he's not halfway, not quite.
no.
Yeah.
No.
So, James, we brought you on the show today because, of course, we are involved. I'm involved. You're involved. Christopher Ludeman. All these people are involved in this song coming up on this Friday. We're releasing the Odie song. So let's introduce you to Nation. Let's introduce the Odie song to Business Athlete LinkedIn Nation. Good morning, Sarvina. And let's let the world know about James Turner and what the heck we're doing with this Odie song, James Turner.
Okay, well, I don't know what the heck we're doing with the Odie song any more than you, to be honest with you. But it was really great collaboration, like just being in the right place at the right time. Christopher was reaching out for musicians, and I was like, yeah, I can play guitar, I can play bass. And he's like, we need a bassist. So, you know, I love how you can.
That's really cool. That's really
get in projects like that.
So go ahead. Sorry, you're broken up there.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just saying, I love how you can, just by saying yes to things, you can change trajectories, meet new people, do cool things that you never thought you were going to do. And this is a good example of that.
Well, what I think is exceptional, gents, is just the power of networking, right? This conversation started out on the social networks of LinkedIn, and next thing you know, we had people from Germany, from Manitoba, from New Brunswick, from all parts of the world coming together and creating this song, this content for a brand that doesn't even know that there's a song being made for them, which I find actually the most humorous of this whole situation. So what's going on, Fit Presenter, joining us from Peru, from Copa America. Good to see you this morning, Mike. So James, what do you do to keep you moving full-time and active in New Brunswick?
Well, I mean, my main thing is like copywriting related. I call myself now the homepage humanizer. I'm on a mission to make tech brands have more, well, if it's true, a more genuine human approach to things. So like, you know how people will start a company and they've got the best of intentions, but then they just can't describe what they want in terms that make sense. I kind of want to help. I want to help them. I have a big soft spot for tech people with brilliant ideas and bad social skills. Essentially, I feel like I can bridge the gap. I can play on both teams a bit. I can understand them, but I also am good at relating things to people. So that's kind of my main thing. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Going around the table, Marty, you got a question for James?
I didn't, but I could think of one real quick.
Awesome. While you're doing that, Keith, you got something for James this morning?
Yeah, how do you take the jargon out of professionalism and out of professional websites, and how do you play both fields while keeping it professional?
The easiest way is by being like ignorant of people's markets, like not knowing, not overstudying, and just being like, well, what does this mean? Like if I genuinely don't know what I know it's jargon because I don't know what it means. You know what I mean? Like rather than specializing in this one thing where I get inside the bottle with the owners, I'd say that's my competitive advantage is my ignorance.
It's a good skill set to have, Marty.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, how does that whole process work? So if you want to, create something with someone in another country, what is that like? Are you using a platform to send files to each other? You emailing? How does that process work?
Usually
in a
Google
studio.
Docs.
Google Docs, okay.
Yeah. Usually Google Docs is the best way to collaborate, I'd say these days. At some clients, if they're bigger, usually force you to use Microsoft Word. But it's mostly documents and comments. Yeah. Loom video to explain what's going on, so that we can not have to have a 1 hour meeting to just do what could be done in a 5-minute video. Yeah. That kind of thing. Yeah. So
what about ChatGPT? Throwing it out there. I mean, are you using it or?
I'm not really. I'm not afraid of it. Nod to your coming up segment, but I just haven't yet personally found a thing. I think what it does is the thing that I do, right? Like, so it's weird to have it do what I do. But I also find, like, I can tell when clients are like, yeah, we've got this new article and it's like really long, really dense. I'm like, I know what's going on here. And I found them way harder to edit. They
just copy it and paste it from ChatGPT and ask you to fix it up, right?
Yeah, to make it sound more human, right? Like, so that was kind of part of
That's what college kids are doing now too. You know?
Yeah, just like they're the copy chief of their projects or whatever.
I find it interesting, James, because you reference it does what I do. I was talking with Louderman about creating some music, and he created some content for me, and I sent him some music back. He's like, Keith, he goes, I can't use AI generated music. I'm like, oh yeah, do it. He's like, oh, I need to make it myself because he's a musician. It's like saying, I'm the chef. I don't want the robot to make me the meal. I will make the meal myself.
Quite.
I found that kind of it was contrast, because I was like, hey, I get some work done for you. He's like, no, I don't want that. I'm like, oh, right. And I understand why, because the values were like, no, I can do that as a human being. Right. So I found that kind of interesting, especially as we're walking Monroe into the lobby in a couple minutes talking about AI. So James, music always been a big part of your life?
Always. Yeah. Yeah. My parents are both musical. By the way, my parents are British. So like I am actually a dual citizen, but I live in Canada. They came here, had me, lived here for 30 years, and then de-emigrated. So now they live in the UK again.
Yes.
And I'm just alone here. And well, not alone. I'm married. I have kids. It's great. But
James, me and you are brothers. I'm a dual citizen as well.
oh, nice. Well, nice to meet you, fellow. Dooley.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, James, as we work towards wrapping up the segment with yourself, and it's such a great pleasure to meet you and talk music and talk about your profession. James, what is, music is the cornerstone of culture. We relive memories through music. We relive moments through music. Music just helps us be accountable. Music brings us together. Mm-hmm. Talk about music to James Turner, somebody who works in the industry, somebody who, lives with it, breathes it, big part of your life. I want to hear music from you.
So I found interesting, I'm a writer, right? Like, I mean, that's the majority of my work through my life has been writing related. And yet when I listen to songs, I don't listen to lyrics. And like, my wife will laugh about like, don't you know what that song's about? And like, I hear the sounds that the words are making, but they don't go into the same space for me. So I feel like there's like a storytelling that's deeper than just language that you get out of music. And when people talk about flow state, like anytime I've ever tried to think about when have I been in flow state, it's always with music. It's always been like in the middle of a jam or just like walking down the street and I get a song in my head and I'm like, oh, that's not anyone else's song. That's just music that just popped in my head from who knows where. So I feel like music is like a connector. It crosses cultures. Like,
yes,
it's harder to share a story, but it's easy to share music across language barriers and that kind of thing. So yeah, I feel like
I like that. It's harder to share a story, but it's easier to share music across cultures. And that's a fascinating statement because it's interesting, right? There's many people that learn how to speak English, Keith, Marty, through music, right? Mm-hmm. Listening to music. And next thing you know, they're learning how to speak the English language through, learning how to sing the song, right? Through karaoke, right? And it's like, I can't speak English normally, but I can sing that song to karaoke. That's fascinating to me. Yeah. That's the power of music. What's that, James?
Accent free. Like people can sing in another language and sound legit.
It's so true.
I was going to say a little off topic, but I saw a video of, I don't know what country it was in, but it was an Asian guy. And he was yelling at someone in his language. he said, shut the F up. Like, it sounded like perfect English, and then he went right back to his fluent language. It was crazy. I'm like, how does he sound like that? But that made me think of that. So you're absolutely right.
Right, Marty. It's the power of karaoke. It's the power of music, right? Yep. So, all right, coming up at the 60-minute mark of the show, in the next minute here, Jimmy, we're going to click into the accountability check-in. Hey, James, before we say goodbye, do you want to stick around for the hour to talk AI, or do you got to go on with your day?
I don't have to go. I mean,
you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome to stick around for the conversation. Our goal, 100%, our goal and ambition here is to have the world's biggest conversation. So if you want to stick around and join the round table with myself and Keith and Marty, you are welcome to stick around. We're going to welcome Monroe Melvin on the stage here in a moment to get into AI. Monroe's an AI expert. Also joining us from just down the road from Keith. We dragged him out of bed here this morning. Said, hey, come join the conversation. So he's going to join us here in a second. So we're going to get into AI in a moment. But before we do that, guys, it is time to go to this segment where we do. We do this here. Boop, boop, boop. It's where Keith and Marty dance. And we're going to get Keith into the dancing mode here too. And it's that time where we say to you guys, hey, you're going to get left behind. Yep. You all listening right now, if you don't pay attention for the next 15, 20 minutes with Monroe Melvin coming up, you are going to get left behind in society. Hang on that for a moment. It's true. Because if you don't embrace AI, the ugly stepchild of society, or is it? If you don't embrace AI, you're going to get left behind. It's moving fast. Love it or hate it, AI is here to stay. The world's evolving. Every technology tool, every device we have is having AI weaved into it. So I'm going to encourage you, nation, it's time to embrace it or face the consequences. Now, we know that there's a generation of folks like myself, the ancient people, they're like, oh yeah, we got to embrace AI, embrace AI, embrace AI, which is great. But all of us need to embrace it because there's going to be a massive gap of knowledge of people that are embracing it and people that are ignoring it. Think back to the olden days when we all went from typewriters to Microsoft Word. And the people are like, I don't know how to use Word. We'll get off the typewriter. Businesses that adapt will flourish. Go call our friend Kurt Stein. Kurt's helping people, bring AI systems to businesses everywhere. Businesses will adapt. That struggle will not flourish. Resistors will struggle to survive. AI is going to drive innovation. If you think about all the tools we're using today, they will not get any dumber. Is that the word this morning, Keach? They're only going to get more smart, right? AI will optimize your operations. AI is going to enhance the human experience. Debate me all you want, but I believe it to be true. We're going to talk about that in a few moments with Monroe. Don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. No, it's not the world of the machines coming, where Terminator's coming, and Skynet is on its way, although maybe some could argue that. But the reality is this technology is here to stay. I encourage you to embrace it. If you're afraid of it, come knock on our door here in the lab. We build business athletes here in the lab. And to build a business athlete, we need to weave AI into their life. Come knock on our door. Come see myself. Come see Marty Fit. Come see Keach. We'll help you bring AI into your life. So don't fear it. Leverage it. That is, boom, Marty, Keach, James Turner. That is the accountability check-in today. And Enzo is commenting on, yes, I appreciate it as a student. I'm sure you do appreciate AI as a student.
I can only imagine what Enzo has going on with AI over there.
That is so true. And Starvina pops up with our last comment on, even though English is not my first language, listening to English music improves it significantly. That's an interesting comment you make there, Starvina. And I believe it. We talked about that about karaoke. But let's get into our segment with our friend Monroe Melvin, joining us all the way from
Santa Barbara, California.
And it's the middle of the night for Santa Barbara, California, Monroe. Dude, I want to do this. Let's all just pause, nation, and let's just do this to welcome Monroe Melvin to the lab. James, dude, you're Canadian, and I know you're polite like me, so you're like, it's okay that I didn't get the applause. That's all right. James, we got to give it to the Americans, man, because they all get fussy if they don't get applause and stuff, right? So it's like,
wow.
That's so not true. That is so not true. Less applause for me, the better, but thank you.
We have two Canadians on the line, and we got a bunch of Americans, and I'm throwing all the Americans under the bus, Turner. So
that's crazy.
I think, you know what, Marty? I think Keith is just jealous because you look better in that kind of shirt than he could ever look. I'm sorry.
That could be it.
I
think that's it.
That's it too. That's it too.
That'll be it.
So, gents, Keach, Marty, James, I invited Monroe here today to talk about how AI is going to make our life better and not to be afraid of it and so forth. And Monroe's from Anaguama AI. I think I said it right, Monroe. He's joining us from Santa Barbara today.
Yep.
Joining us from Santa Barbara today. So let's get into the topic, the key topic of discussion today, Monroe. Let me just throw it right off the bat. Why should humans not be afraid of it, even though many are puzzled, curious, and maybe concerned about what AI is going to do to the world? Monroe.
Well, I'm not sure. So not to start off with kind of like the anti-look, but fear I don't think is the right word. Why should humans not embrace it? There is no reason, because if you look back in history, when the last 150 years or longer, any new technology, humans are afraid of change. That's long-standing science and long-standing, general knowledge. So anytime we've had, they were afraid of the automobile and Henry Ford. They were afraid of, the revolution in the 60s with the hippies. They were afraid of the tech companies when they first started coming out with pagers, and, everything that's new becomes old, and people are still afraid of the new, whereas eventually it becomes old. And so I think it's more, why wouldn't you embrace something that, when used responsibly, it enhances your life? Like, literally, we've been using AI for over 15 years as consumers. People just don't realize it when every time they open up Amazon Alexa or Apple Siri or the old Microsoft Cortana. That's AI. We've been using AI. It's just now literally at our fingertips.
And everybody's talking about it, right? I guess that's really the key point, right?
One of the biggest differences, yeah.
Yeah, Mike Quinlan joins us here from Peru this morning, the fit presenter, Marty. AI is great until it encroaches on your profession. Monroe, and I want you to dive into this in a second because especially with Keith coming from Los Angeles in the entertainment industry, I know him and I have talked a couple times offline about how though the impacts in that, and Keith, maybe that's something we can talk about in a couple moments. But Mike talks about AI artwork, recipes. I love it, he says. AI blog posts and workout routines, they all should be condemned. The reality is there's perhaps nothing original anymore. Monroe, talk about the theft. Talk about how it's encroaching on professions and why people are concerned about that, especially with Keith in his backyard. That whole industry can be up, and your backyard, Monroe, that your whole industry of entertainment can be upended by two little letters.
Encroachment or theft. There's two different things. AI, again, has been in our lives for many years. Theft via AI is a different topic. There's AI ethics, there's AI morals, just like anything else. The problem is that the United States has fallen behind a little bit on the regulations. And so, okay, well, when it encroaches on your business, it already has. You just may not know it. It's already, it's in almost every single business and has been. It just has been in the background and people didn't know it. So it's more, I agree. Like you had mentioned something a few minutes ago about, I think the Odie song. I can't believe I just said that.
Neither can we.
Oh God, where's John when you need him?
We'll get him here on Friday.
Yes. Yeah, okay. I'll have to listen to that for sure. But I think, AI and making music and things like that. Yeah, I like Tom Petty said it once 15, 20 years ago, and then actually Run DMC used to kind of believe in this too. Like the days that we get to push button drums, push button vocals, push button this and push button that, like that to me takes out the creativity and becomes no longer about human creativity. It's more about human software programming, right? And I would hope we could stop ourselves from getting to that point. But as far as encroaching upon our industries, that ship has sailed with an armada. It's already happened. It's happening every minute of every day. And it's more about how do you navigate that? Because you have to navigate whatever industry you're in. You have to navigate AI, whether it's right in front of you, whether it's in the background. You have a dedicated team of software engineers already working on an AI product for your company or a product that they're licensing from another company in AI. So it's in your industry. You just may not know it.
Keith, Marty, Turner, questions for Monroe?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think there'll ever be a point in history, not history, but do you ever think there'll be a point in the future where humans just accept like that, the new version of AI is coming? Or do you think there's always going to be some type of pushback or some type of fear?
It is in our evolution to push back, to fear, to be afraid of what we don't know, to question things. But adapt or perish. That is evolution, and it always has been. So, slowly but surely, the last almost 20 months of the ChatGPT and the kind of the chatbot revolution has gotten in front of us so quickly that people have started to accept the fact that this is AI, it's here, it's not going anywhere. And the people that have adapted to it and had fun with it and enjoyed it and embraced it are going to, I think, hopefully help teach those that are afraid of it that there's nothing to be afraid of. No matter what, there's always going to be, bad seeds, villains, whatever, that are using something that shouldn't be used to their advantage for nefarious purposes. That's just in history. You can't get past that. This, one bad apple spoils the bunch. But I think over time, the more that AI is proven to help society and assist society, that it's already been doing for 50 years in some capacity. I mean, this isn't old technology. I posted something the other day on LinkedIn, like some people still think it's a Steven Spielberg movie. It's not. It's been out for 50 years. It's just in the background. So, I hope people start to embrace it. But, it's like when you first drove a car, you're probably terrified. Some people weren't, but you never drove a car before. There's all these buttons, there's all these switches, there's all these things you got to remember, all this driver's ed, driver's training, et cetera, et cetera. But eventually you just accepted the fact that you have to drive the car. You drove the car, and then you want a better car and a better car. So, I mean, I kind of take that approach in most things. And so, I hope people will get to a point sooner rather than later that they accept it, because I got to spit out a stat that I'm not sure how many people know of. So Salesforce and many other companies have done these surveys, and approximately 72% of companies, AI decision makers that are responsible for millions of dollars of investment into AI into their company, 72% have said they are not going to create training programs internally. They are not going to train their people on AI. They are putting their people, basically saying, this is our new tool. Here it is. Learn it. That's it. And those that don't know AI are going to get replaced. It's on us. It's on you to pick it up. Companies are not going to pay you to be trained. They're just not. They're putting their millions of dollars into the product or into the licensing, etc. You have to embrace, or at least make the damn attempt to try to learn it, because 28% of companies are going to have training for you. Those companies are going to get filled up real quick with people that don't know AI. The other 72% are going to get filled with those of us that embrace it and use it and are not afraid to kind of learn from it, et cetera, et cetera.
Talking this mornings in the lab with Keith, friends, C. Marty Fit, Keith Turner, and Monroe Melvin. We're talking AI and how it impacts into your life. James, I got a question for you. How do you weave it? I know we talked at the beginning of the show whether you use ChatGPT and so forth, but there's many tools available to us now. How often do you weave AI into your life? Ever? Is it a big part of your workflows? Are you not ignorant of it? Are you reluctant? Where does it fit into your workflows, James Turner?
Sure. Well, as Monroe was saying, it's been around forever, right? I've been using Grammarly since I can't think when. I don't want to have the entire rules of English grammar in my head. What's the point of that, right? So I use it, and I use another one called Hemingway app, which just analyzes sentences, make them shorter. And I think the people don't get it. It's you don't have to take all the suggestions, but then you can look and be like, oh, that is better. Oh, that's not better, right? So I feel like that's the way to view it, is this you just have this smart, free, relatively assistant, right? And if I were writing longer form sales pages, I'd definitely be leaning on ChatGPT to generate the base draft, which then I would refine. I think that's the fear comes from, like you said, just the change and unknown, but it'll make the things you love better too. It won't just, it won't take away the things you love and make the things you hate stronger in your life. You can use it to solve human problems and, do good, essentially.
Yes. Yeah. I'll share with you guys in a moment how I was using it last night. But Keith, I want to throw it to you, and then Marty, I'll throw it to you. But Keith, how are you weaving AI into your life? And before you answer that, coming up in a minute, Jimmy, we're going to throw it to Marty with our fitness tip of the day. But Keith, ChatGPT has been up 20 months or so. I know you've been working yourself through school, and we've been talking about that. Are you using AI in your life daily, every couple of days? Is it part of your workflows? Keith, how are you using it in your life?
It's becoming daily for sure. I mean, I did my master's when there was no ChatGPT, and then now I'm doing another program with ChatGPT. So I'm seeing, the stark differences of how much am I actually learning? How much am I using it as a crutch, like Enzo or like most students? There's a balance, because there's a big balance. That's what's going to happen is students are going to come out of school and they're going to be like, well, ChatGPT got a great degree, but I'm pretty much in the same place that I was when I walked in. In terms of everyday life, fintech is huge, financial technology, because I work in finance, right? And in solving major problems like Social Security benefits, or simple returns or geometric mean, whatever it is, it's valuable and it saves time. But what I'm noticing is it's getting the problem wrong. It's not as smart as we think, especially when there's multiple steps to solving the issues. If it's just creating a table, it's the most incredible tool that I've ever seen. And I think, in our generation for sure. So we have to be able to know the correct answer, solve it manually as well. Like if there's something wrong with the machine, somebody has to be able to go and tweak it, but if I didn't know how to actually solve it, I might just assume it's true and give it to a client. Well, then whose fault is it? Do I blame ChatGPT? No, the client's going to blame me. So what I fear is the education aspect of it, because students are going to come out of school and they're going to come out with big degrees from Harvard or Yale or whatever it is. And who actually got the degree? Is it ChatGPT or is it John Doe? So the future of high school students too, I'm around kids a lot too. Many kids now are just taking the easy way out. Like I did too when I was in high school. Come on. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I guess education is a big aspect of AI, what's going to happen. And how do you think, Monroe, we could, teach the future generations, like, how to properly use it, but also not use it as a crutch?
Monroe.
This is a loaded question only because my instinct is to be very, 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 very direct. I'm not going to do that as far as students, we have to take responsibility. And so where does that fall? Does it fall to the teachers? Does it fall to the parents? Does it fall to the students themselves? Well, okay, companies, as you said, are kind of, ChatGPT got the degree, and ChatGPT is just the most well-known of all of these tools, right? It's not even the best one. I'm sorry, but it's not. There's ones that can wipe the floor with it. It's far more advanced, right? So as students, let's assume that students are doing kind of like what you're saying, and they're doing ChatGPT got the degree. Okay, well then companies have to stay ahead, and they have to have different questions, different things in their interview process to determine if, especially in your industry and with several of my current clients in medical, there has to be a way where you are hiring someone that knows what they're doing, or at whatever level you're hiring them for. Okay, so now in the AI generation, what questions, how can you double check? How can you fact check your interviewers, right? Your interviewees or whatnot. And I think it goes all the way back to middle school, high school, and responsibility, where it's a tool, it's an assistant. It's not the main embodiment, which is us, right? So like if you rely on it too much, and we've seen some of the horror stories where people are using ChatGPT, and now Google's doing one with Gemini where they're telling you to go sniff glue. And if you don't fact check that, at some point, you got to take some responsibility for not fact checking that you shouldn't sniff glue based on what you're asking it to help you with. It's, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I think there has to be, safety measures in place. There has to be regulations in some way, shape, or form. I don't care how loose they are, but there has to be something. And people have to take responsibility for their actions. Like if you're going to use it, great, fantastic. But it's a tool. It's not the toolbox. You are the toolbox. All the tools inside the toolbox are everything you've trained yourself on and continue to do. And so like becoming so heavily reliant on it is just, there's different programs, different things that companies are starting to set up in order to check that stuff. But at the end of the day, to me, I want to have belief in the human condition, which is taking responsibility and owning the process that you're attempting to embark on in AI.
You got to own the process, nation. If you don't own the process, AI is going to own you. Hey, Marty, it's that time, my friend. It is that time. I'm going to do this. We're going to put you up here. Going to pull me off here. It's this fit tip. Over to you, Marty.
Eating right is the key to fitness. Your eating habits matter more than you think. You might love those late night snacks while watching TV, but guess what? They're why you feel sluggish and drained. Honestly, I've been there too. Not often, but I have been there before. Don't make any judgments, all right? But I ate junk food out of convenience. I skipped meals because of my schedule. I felt tired and unmotivated to work out. It happens to everyone, happens to the fittest people, happens to the people who aren't the fittest. It's part of life. But then I made a change. I started prepping healthy meals ahead of time, stayed away from junk food, and it wasn't long before I had more energy for my workouts and I felt happier overall. And a lot of people get messed up because they don't feel like meal prepping or they don't feel like paying a meal prep company. you know, just like they don't feel like working out. But sometimes you have to think about the bigger picture and think about the how you're going to feel in the future opposed to how you feel right now. Like I said before, eating right is the key to fitness. So if you're struggling with energy and performance, reconsider your eating habits. And what we put in our body directly affects how we feel, you know, even our mindset and how we think about things and how we react to negativity. So what's one junk food you can eliminate starting today? Start with that and you'll be on track. That's the fitness tip for today.
Or to help you guys get through the day. You're all starting your day like, what do I want to eat today? Go listen to Marty. Marty will get you sorted out with what you should be eating today.
Absolutely.
So, Keach, I lost your connection. There you go, Keach. All right, so we're going to wrap up our conversation on AI before we move to carb cycling, James and Monroe. If you guys are into carb cycling, we're going to talk about that in a few moments. But guys, I want to end the discussion on AI with this. Monroe, what is something we can leave people with as a nugget, as a tangible nugget of information they can take away from today as we're talking about how AI can transform your life? You got somebody who's sitting in front of you, they're curious, Monroe, they're kind of going, how can I, what's one thing I can do today to make my life better using these tools, as you've talked about? What can I use? What can I do to make my life better using AI? Monroe Melvin.
So the first thing I would say is assess what you want to accomplish. What's your goal? What are you doing in that moment that you're like, man, I need some help. I need something that can help me accelerate this process, and determine what your goal is, and then kind of reverse engineer it from there. So ask yourself, man, there's so many AI tools out there. What would help me with this task I have right now? And it could be anything. It could be, Marty creating fitness plans that he has all wrapped up in his head. He's got his spreadsheets. Well, okay, ChatGPT and others, he can upload a spreadsheet and it can spit out a spreadsheet far more organized, perhaps with his notes and everything like that. It's not cheating. He just he used basically like a Microsoft Word and created his client's workout plan. Okay, something like that. So there's something that AI can do that's still the core of the core of the knowledge and everything is still from Marty's training and things like that. Or kind of like same thing with Keach, where I have this client, I need these numbers based on their projections for next year. That's all over the place. I have all these notes. There's different AI programs that can organize that in seconds, and you're not cheating. You're not doing anything. You're using a tool to your advantage to save time. Time is the one thing, no matter how much money any of us have, none of us you can never get it back. So that's the one thing I would say, is that embrace AI to give you back more of your life, not to take more of it. Because the more time you have, the more you can own your time, the more rich you technically are, and in my opinion, actually are. So
well said, Monroe. And I want to hang on that for a moment, especially I'll look at Marty for a second here. Many people, I suspect, Marty, come to you and say, oh, Marty, I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to meal prep. I don't have time to take care of myself. And I see you shaking your head because you know what I'm going to say now. Exactly. Right. So if you're saying
that's what I hear in my head when they do that. Instantly.
Nation, I'm going to offer this up to you. If you say you don't have time, call Monroe, because Monroe is going to say, no, but Keith, you do have time. Let me show you. I'll give you an hour of my time, Monroe is going to say, to teach you a couple tools to save you 30 minutes a day, 45 minutes a day. When I discovered ChatGPT a number of months ago, I said to myself, nobody can ever say to me ever again, I have no time to work out. And in many ways, it was kind of the birth of the Business Athlete Performance Lab. Because I'm like, okay, now I have this tool that can give everybody back at least 30 minutes of their day. So I can say to, hey, James, like, Keith, I don't want to work out. No, dude, use this tool so you can now go for a walk. Use this tool so you can now have extra 30 minutes a day to your bench press. So to Marty's point, there never is an excuse now not to say you don't have time. It's like the ultimate time-saving tool. So, gents, wrapping up our discussion on AI tools. We'll move to carb cycling in a quick minute. James, any closing comments on AI tools from your perspective?
No, I totally agree with what we're talking about here, what Monroe's saying. You can use it to save time and do more of what you love and get it to do the things that you were like, about, So
exactly.
Love it.
Exactly. Keith, how about you, pal?
Yeah, I think what Monroe was saying is spot on. People who hate math or hate tables, I mean, we have no excuse anymore. We just throw that thing in there and it will spit out in bullet points, exactly what, what we dread. I know people who hate numbers like the plague, but there's no excuse anymore. I mean, I think it's great what we're doing. And I'm curious to hear more about, what you're doing too, exactly, specifically.
Yeah, we'll get you guys started out here. Marty, closing comments from you on AI before we move to carb cycling.
Yes, what I got from it is that AI is here just to enhance our lives. It's not to replace anything, or like we still have to work and human. I guess human action is still needed. There's no cheat code.
Oh, Marty, you're wrecking it for everybody listening. No cheats.
Up, down, left, right, BA, start.
Yeah, it's not Grand Theft Auto.
I think we all know what that is.
Yeah. None of that.
Oh, that's exceptional. That's exceptional. And yes, Enzo, did I use AI to help with the merch ideas? I did. As a matter of fact, I did. Yes. And Enzo's wondering about the merch ideas. Well, hey, we're like the WWE here. We have guests coming on. We're making merch for them. Some, Monroe, Melvin might have some merch coming. Some Turner might have some merch coming. But Monroe, before we move to carb cycling, you have been very generous in getting out of bed super early for us this morning. Let's make sure Business Athlete LinkedIn Nation knows how they can find you, connect with you, and be educated if they need some help with AI. Monroe.
Well, first, if like you said earlier, if I give you an hour of my time and you're only saving 30 minutes out of your day, one of us has failed. You better be saving 3 hours if I give you an hour or two, kind of, because that's just how powerful these tools are, and that's how serious I take my job. So it's you can find me on LinkedIn, and I do a lot of consulting for all different companies. I started a company, Anaguma AI, which is the Japanese honey badger. Great logo, I'm told. But we do. I've created, like, in 3 months, my engineers and I created a product from scratch in AI and a working MVP. And so what we've done from that since is simply we kind of moved away from the product and started doing the consulting, because we realized how much, it's a lot more lucrative, but also there's a lot, people need help. People don't know, companies don't know where to go with, what should we build? Should we license it out? Should we do this? Should we do that? And that is needed much more than a product at the moment for AI. So a lot of consulting and a lot of strategy around that, based on business goals, based on human goals, stuff like that. And I'm on LinkedIn is the best way to find me. I will be taking down my book appointment. So best way is just to, Keith, you already know. I will be just message me. I mean, I take all messages, and hopefully if there's anything I can do to help, we can work on it. I do usually 34 minutes based on a former close friend at SC who played football and is still a good friend to this day. So free 34-minute consultation on, what are your goals, discovery, things like that for AI. And every day is a journey. Every day is 12 hours usually of what's new, what's not, what's coming, what's around the corner, and all those things. So there's a lot of great things in AI, and people just need to embrace it, because it really is. It's fun. Learning should be fun, and like when it comes to tools that do stuff we don't want to do, what can be more fun than that?
Yes. Monroe, Melvin, thank you so much. Very, very grateful you were able to join us this morning here to talk about AI. I know I learned a lot. I know Nation learned a lot. And like I said, you need an expert in your pocket. Do not hesitate to go knock on Monroe's door. He will help you out. So we're going to shift our conversation to carb cycling. Monroe, I welcome you to stick around if you like. If not, you more than welcome to exit. But let's stick around and talk about carb cycling with Marty, Fit, and the rest of the gang here. Guys, did you know that, Marty, I'm sure you know this, but did you know, Marty, that 42% of U.S. adults are living with obesity? So with such staggering numbers, many people struggle to find effective weight loss solutions. And one of those solutions, Marty, is carb cycling. It's gained popularity over the years as a way for folks to optimize weight loss and maximize muscle gain. The approach, Nation, I'm going to set it up for you before I throw it to Marty. The approach involves alternating between high and low carb days, James Turner, to maximize the benefits of carbohydrates while minimizing potential drawbacks. So for example, one day Keith, you might crush 250 grams of carbohydrates. The next day you might crush 100 grams of carbohydrates. So the next day you might only crush 20. The next day you might crush none. Then you'll do that again. And you'll do that again. You'll cycle them up. You'll cycle them down. Some people have had success with it. I will admit I have tried it in the past and I've had success with it. Some people have not. Some people would say that it creates bad habits. But carb cycling works by manipulating the body's metabolism through alternating carbohydrate intake. On high carb days, the body receives ample glucose for energy, which can enhance performance. And on the other days, low carb days, they encourages the body to use fat as the primary energy source, promoting fat loss. Some love it, some hate it. Many question whether they should become a carb cycler. Marty Fit, my friend, my resident expert here in the lab. Let's talk about carb cycling today, pal, because I know you have an opinion. I know when we started the discussion yesterday, I said, hey, man, let's talk carb cycling today. You're like, Bilous, I have an opinion, man, and I want to share it with the world. See, Marty Fit, let's talk carb cycling, pal.
I'm not a fan of carb cycling. Now, scientifically, can it work for someone? Absolutely, it can work. But I think a lot of people don't think about the mental part of fitness, right? So let's think about someone who became obese from bad habits for years, and they're used to overloading on carbs. If you're giving them, multiple days where they're not taking any carbs at all after having those high carb days, I don't think that's sustainable, and I think it can actually throw them off. And if you're used to having a high amount of carbs every day, you'll more than likely feel low energy, right? You'll probably feel a little bit sluggish on those low carb days. And how's that going to affect your workouts? How's that going to affect your work life? How's that going to affect the rest of your day? So I just don't think it's a great idea. And again, I can go off on this, and I know people who have tried it. I have clients who have tried it. But in my experience, the people who have made the transformations, they stick with one thing that's sustainable, and that's what works for them the best. So that's my perspective on it.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up the mental side of it, Marty, because I think that's often it's often what's not discussed in fitness.
Yep. Right.
We're talking got to get strong or I got to eat the food, but we don't talk about what happens up here. Yep. Because James Keach, research suggests that carb cycling can be effective for weight management and muscle growth. A study published recently in the Journal of Sports Science found that carb cycling enhances insulin sensitivity, optimizes muscle glycogen storage, crucial for athletic performance, and another benefit is reduction in inflammation due to the alternating carbohydrate levels, which can lead to improved overall health. But Keach, I did not mention in that whole paragraph about the mental struggles that Marty talks about.
Oh, I didn't even see with the article. So hey.
Right. So you talk about, it's going to optimize your muscle glycogen. It's going to optimize all these things. But if you can't sort it out up here, James, if you're standing in the kitchen struggling with, I had a bunch of carbs yesterday, but I can't have any today. I think that's all. I think that's what Marty's presenting is the challenge. Yeah, is the challenge because you're battling it mentally. Marty?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I deal with it, So people try to cut stuff out or do something dramatic, and they end up just quitting, right? They stay obese or they get obese again. I've seen it so many times. So it's better to just play the long game, slower process, gradual results. That's going to work better for you in the long run.
So let's talk about the alternates to do carb cycling in a moment. But before we do that, Keach, Turner, had you two been familiar with the idea of carb cycling before today's conversation? I know, Chris, you're an athlete and has probably come across your purview. But James, as you've gone through life with kids and so forth, is carb cycling? Listen, weight loss. It's in everybody's life. Have you thought about this? Has it been part of your kind of your mandate in life, or is this a new topic for you to consider, James?
It's a new topic for me, but I am very familiar with trying to do things to improve my health. And I totally resonate with the idea that if you're doing it like every 2 days, it's way harder than just having a rule that you do every day. And you don't have to question, which day is it today? And
yes,
just intuitively, I completely understand what Marty's saying. Intermittent fasting, I did that for a period. And Like if I was, oh wait, do I get to have breakfast this morning or am I waiting till noon? If I was having to like think about all that, it would just have failed. Versus this is what I do now for now.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah. And then
Yes.
I like fitness or in all walks of life. I feel like that's just, it's easier to do something every day than it is to do something every second day or third day.
Right, the routine. What about yourself, Keith? Are you have you embraced carb cycling in the past? Has it been something you played with, never touched, or what's your point of view on it yourself, Keith?
Yeah, I've definitely tried it. I mean, in different forms, whether it's keto or whatever it is, not specifically what the new thing is probably, but in some form or another. I couldn't agree more with what C. Marty said and what James said, for now kind of thing. Like we try it out, but it's for the long game. We have to build habits that are sustainable. If you just cut them out for a second, you're going to be drained. And then like what you were saying, what's the point? Why are we even doing it if you don't have the energy to, get through the day or, make it, to your next appointment kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a nutritionist, and Chris, C. Marty would know a lot more than I would, as you can tell. I mean, I've had maybe too many carbs in the last few days, but so yeah, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. So, I mean, as an athlete, carbs will have got me through the game kind of thing. I mean, if you're training and you're burning calories, then I think it's definitely necessary. But then again, I was always a little, it was hard to lose the belly fat. It was probably, all the pasta bowls, but it's an interesting, thing with work and how much are we actually being drained? How much is it actually taking a toll by cutting it out versus adding it into our diet? I mean, I'm sure, Chris, you would have a better answer again on that.
Closing comments to you, Marty. Carb cycling. Before we wrap up our show today and say thanks to James and everybody, but Marty, we've talked about, your opinion is don't do it. Your opinion is like, I don't know if you want to go there because you're going to mentally struggle with it because you're like, I've seen it before with so many of my clients. So Marty, what would you recommend as an alternative to somebody who's considering carb cycling? What would you suggest would be a better choice for that person who's considering carb cycling in your life? Marty.
You can always lower your carb intake. But our body needs carbs, whether you're training or not training. We need carbs. We need carbs just to get through our day. So you can. I've even experimented myself. Lower it to 150 grams of carbs a day or 100, and you'll see how quickly those carbs can add up. You get to 100 grams of carbs in one meal and be like, oh wow, I didn't know I was eating this much. So you can always lower the carbs. And then. This is not going to make sense. I'm going to try to say it as clearly as I can. All right, 2 + 2 is 4, right? 4 - 2 is 2. Okay, you guys with me? Everybody understand? All right, cool. Keach, I know you might have some brain fog from that test, but so
it's okay. I got ChatGPT.
So bad habits plus bad habits equal obesity, right? So we might want to subtract the bad habits to get rid of them, to get to good habits, right? I don't know if that makes sense to you. It makes sense to me. I explain it to my clients and they get it, but everybody doesn't get it. So I kind of look at it like that, like a simple equation got you here. So you have to reverse the equation to get back to the other side.
That's well said, Marty. It actually is well said. So you may be confusing yourself with how you articulate it, but it sure as hell made a lot of sense.
That's pretty simple math. Okay. But I like that. Look at it backwards. Take the reciprocal. It's good. It's really good, definitely. Actually.
Yep.
Math lessons from C. Marty Fit.
Hey man, I try my best.
Enzo's coming in. A lot of great show. It was a great show, Enzo. I thought it was as well. Great convos, and Enzo, we love having you. Absolutely. Always enjoying an extra class at midnight. Before we wrap up, guys, I want to make sure we take this big old light. We're going to shine it to the east coast of Canada, and we're going to thank our friend James Turner, for joining us here in the lab this morning. Guys, it's like, so in New Brunswick, it's already 4:00 in the afternoon. So,
Keith,
you know,
you're frozen too, Keith.
yeah, I know. I saw that there. So I'm going to get unfrozen here in a second. So you guys, so Turner, how are you going to wrap us up here today, my friend?
How am I going to wrap our show up? Is that what you...
Yeah. Close up the words for us today.
Yeah. So don't be afraid of AI, and carb cycling is potentially putting bad habits and good habits together and hoping to come up with a good routine. And if you need a little love in your life, you should listen on Friday for the Odie song reveal.
There you go. Oh, yeah. I'm popping up here on the back camera here. All right, gents, how else are we closing the show today? Keach, final 2 words to Keach and Marty. Close it off there, boys.
Hey, great show. Don't be scared to use AI. Don't carb cycle. I'm just gonna be straight up. Do not carb cycle. And yeah, great show. And you chose some great guests today, Keith. So good job on that.
Thanks, man. I thought it was a great show. Keith, final word to you, pal. Close it up today, buddy.
Yeah, hopefully Monroe, gets us to the point where AI is doing the bench press for me. That would be great. But until that day, I won't be carb cycling, and I'll make sure to use AI to as much advantage as I can, to the extent that it allows me to. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Keach, awesome. Marty, awesome. James Turner, full of gratitude, man. Yeah, you joined us in the show today. I'm enjoying connecting with you in the feeds of LinkedIn, and I'm gonna enjoy staying in touch with you. And hey, we always say this: once a guest in the lab, always a friend in the lab. So you come back again, okay, James?
Would love that. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. Thanks, you guys. Keach, Marty, we'll see you guys. Talk to you guys a little later. We're gonna get into post-production. And Nation, have an awesome day. And hey, Marty, it looks like OGG is messaging me here. Let's just see what the OGG says. Yes, OGG, we know that I'm frozen.
Oh, okay. Thanks, OGG.
I think so. Keith, you don't know OGG yet, but you're going to meet the OGG in a few weeks, and we'll just leave it there. Turner,
exciting.
Marty, have a good one, guys. We'll see you guys later. Okay?
Yep.
Adios.